Do you remember when Donald Trump said this?
If we lost the world standard dollar, that would be like losing a war, a major world war. We would not be the same country any longer.
Well, a move has just been made by China, which in my opinion is going to make it inevitable that the US dollar will no longer be the reserve currency of the world in the coming years. Now, the interesting thing about this is that Africa is the battleground on which this move has been made. In this video, we're going to discuss exactly what China has done in Africa to move against the United States reserve currency, what the potential implications are, and how China is about to win the global monopoly game whilst giving Africa the opportunity to improve its economic standing in the globe. For those of you that don't know me, my name is TJ. I'm Nigerian and British mixed, and on this channel, we talk about African geopolitics. So to explain exactly what's happened, we're going to take a look at this article. China looks to Africa as testing ground for global rollout of yuan. A growing list of African nations have made deals to explore and implement use of the Chinese currency for trade and financial transactions. China appears to be positioning Africa as the testing ground for internationalization of the yuan as it seeks to expand the currency's global use and break the dominance of the US dollar. During a recent meeting in Cairo, the Central Bank of China and Egypt signed a series of agreements to promote the use of the yuan in trade and investment. These deals, lauded by People's Bank of China's governor, Pan Gongxiang, as a key step in advancing economic ties, was signed last week during Chinese Premier Li Qiang's visit to Egypt. In case you didn't know, Li Qiang has just finished visiting 5 African countries, which he does every single year, one of which was Egypt, and it seems that they laid the ground for this deal on that visit. They will explore currency swap as well as panda bonds in yuan issued by overseas companies in mainland markets. What are we talking about here? We're talking about cross-border settlement, cross-border payment, international payment between countries in the yuan. The deal also covers cooperation in electronic payments, including expanding China's UnionPay services and facilitating cross-border business in yuan for banks in the China-Egypt TEDA Suez Economic and Trade Cooperation Zone near the city of Suez. You know that area right there is a very big, important trading route. All of the big ships pass from Asia up into Europe through that canal. That will be done via local currency settlement paid through the cross-border interbank payment system CIPS, China's alternative to SWIFT international payment network. Egypt joins a growing list of African nations that have yuan-based deals with China, including South Africa, Nigeria, Angola, which are all exploring and implementing the use of the Chinese currency for trade and financial transactions. We are talking about the 4 largest economies in Africa now all switching to the CIPS system away from the SWIFT system, which is controlled by the West and the United States. This is a major move on the board for international settlements no longer being reliant on the US dollar. This is coupled with the move that was made about 2 weeks ago, which was the fact that China has given 53 of the 54 African countries free trade tariffs on exports from Africa to China, which is basically the exact opposite of what the United States have done in terms of the tariff war that Donald Trump has implemented. Right now, if you're going to send something to America, you're going to have to pay the new tariff rate, which is anywhere from 15 to 50%, depending on which country you are. Whereas if you do that with China, it's free. And then China have implemented a way for you to pay without having to change your money into dollars first. So you can use their CIPS system, you can pay in yuan, or you convert your local currency all within the Chinese banking system in order to make your trade deals. This is essentially outsmarting the United States.
If you have a smart president, you will never lose the standard. If you have a stupid president like the last one, you would lose the standard. You wouldn't have the dollar as you ever hear the expression dollar is king? The dollar is king. We're going to keep it that way, okay? And I'm just saying, if people want to challenge it, they can, but they're going to have to pay a big price. And I don't think any of them are willing to pay that price.
while the United States is a very big economy for Africa to lose out on. But China is saying, hey, we know United States is really difficult to trade with right now under Trump's system of tariffs, but you can trade with us. We are 1.4 billion people and we're going to make it easy. We are going to clear the path. Now, tell me, what do you think is going to happen? One thing you've got to realize about China is with the single party system, yes, it has its flaws, but what it allows them to do is make singular moves long term and pursue that singular move regardless of whoever is in charge, which means the Democrats may come in and reverse everything Trump has done. And then another Republican may come in after that and reverse everything that the Democrats have done. This doesn't allow for a coherent step-by-step strategy. So why is this so impactful right now? Because China is laying the groundwork for the exploding economies and population that the continent of Africa is experiencing right now. Africa is going to continue to grow in its population over the next 50 years until it occupies 25% of the global population. This is in contrast to Europe and America, whose populations are shrinking. So right now, yes, America has the largest consumer economy, but the likelihood is over the next few decades, that is going to change, and places like Africa and the global south in general are going to far exceed America's large consumer economy. So trying to position themselves to do trade, and they position themselves with their CIPS system. The CIPS system has already rolled out in over 4,900 banking institutions in over 187 countries around the world. Basically, it's already online and good to go. All it will take is for countries to just plug themselves into that system. Countries are increasingly trading through this system, and China, again, is paving the way for this to continue. For example, what with Trump's tariffs with Brazil being at 50%, this week China fast-tracked a number of Brazilian coffee companies, giving them the ability to import coffee, as this will be one of the biggest hit economies in Brazil as American suppliers look for cheaper alternatives to Brazilian coffee and its huge tariff burden. With the CIPS system in place, Brazil don't have to do anything drastic in order to be able to make this trade opportunity happen. And so we're seeing this trend happening all over the world. China is creating the opportunity for Brics nations to keep rising, which is another thing that Donald Trump said he would break.
Then they're going to be hit with a 100% tariff the day they mention that they want to do it. And they will come back and say, we beg you not to do this. Brics is dead since I mentioned that. Brics died the minute I mentioned that.
Brazil, the B in Brics, South Africa, the S in Brics, have both been hit with really high tariffs for the US. And what we've seen is solidarity amongst the Brics nations and China essentially trying to do whatever it can to fill the gap for any loss of business. If Brazil are able to have their coffee fulfilled by China, this will put America in even more of a difficult situation, because America actually export more to Brazil already than they do receive imports from Brazil. With Brazil's reciprocal tariffs, it has the effect of making everything that America exports to Brazil much more expensive. And then Brazil starts looking to other nations, most likely in the global south, to receive whatever it is they get from America. So it looks like they are positioned for America to lose out on several fronts. This is the strength of Brics unity. And now we are seeing a number of African countries either being close partners with Brics, which is the road to becoming a full Brics member, or becoming Brics members directly. Now, in my opinion, that's a good thing. But on top of that, Africa should make themselves more unified as a continent anyway, so that with or without Brics, they could make these similar kinds of moves. I'm sure you've heard the term many times, but now this is the era of the multipolar global economy. Before, it was the unipolar global economy, with the United States being the key player with everything surrounding their economy. The linchpin of all of this has been the US dollar, but as you can see, that era is now over. The other driving force around this is the sanctions that the West and America has put on Russia, freezing over 300 billion in their global assets denominated in dollars. African countries have seen this firsthand, and they are now thinking, hey, we have to switch tactics. So the incentive and pressure to move away from something that the United States can control, the SWIFT banking system, is bigger than ever before. And China, of course, is there to provide that different option. Instead of freezing people's assets, China is investing in Africa like never before. For example, in Angola, it's just invested $350 million for its agricultural sector. Now, there's a lot of problems going on right now in Angola, and there's actually a lot of frustration with Chinese people on the ground. But this is something the Angola administration needs to really start managing in a better way. Without big, powerful strategic partners like China, like Russia, like the rest of the global South countries, Angola will never get to the place where it can pull itself out of the situation it's in right now. It needs to put behind the era of corruption that plagued it for so long. And this is actually the story in many African countries. This only works if Africa decides to move away from any corrupt practices amongst its leadership. It is time to take advantage of the new world. It is time to stride forward for the betterment of the people on the continent. All the ingredients are there to do it, and to do it without the United States meddling. Africa should be unified. It should remove all United States military bases from the continent, and it should negotiate with US tariffs as a singular bloc. If the United States doesn't want to play ball, it should look to the rest of the global South, including China, who are paving the way for an easy transition to a whole new economy of 1.4 billion people. If this happens, this will improve the standard of living for the poorest of Africans and put Africa in a position to really thrive over the next 100 years. The global game of monopoly is being played, and Africa can be a big player in it. I would love to know what you think about this. Any thoughts you have, please leave them in the comment section. But if you have nothing to say, would it be too much for me to ask you to write the words Africa Monopoly in the comment section? It just lets me know that you watched the video to the end, you like the channel, you like what I'm doing, and you want me to continue. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.